Hey, my loves, how are you doing today? Well, me, I'm doing great. I'm actually currently walking home from the grocery store trying to get my steps in. But, anyways, I want to talk about this discussion that has been a little bit viral on TikTok, and it is another type of diaspora war type of discussion, if you know what I mean. Okay, so let me fill you in. So basically, the viral topic on TikTok was, do Black Americans and Africans look alike? So I will reel you all the way back to the beginning when this discussion first started because, like I said, I'm chronically on TikTok and I kind of remember it slowly roasting into this big boom that it is now. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the backstory. I remember like a few weeks ago, there was a couple of videos that hit my For You page, and it was African women that, in my opinion, they looked African. So West African or Northern or whatever, right? They had that distinctive look, and they were coming to the timeline saying that they think that they look like a Black American, and people were like, no, you don't. You look African to us, okay? So I just remember like that was kind of the slow roast. Okay, so then the final, takeoff to this discussion was here on the screen. Jay Versace, he had randomly tweeted, I don't know what made him tweet this. Maybe he was looking at, a lot of like models on covers of the magazines. A lot of the models, they do look extremely African. I know that sounds a little bit ignorant, but it's like you get what he's saying, right? So Jay Versace decided to tweet, why do it seem like you gotta look extremely African in order to be a successful and Black model? I don't like that. That's what he tweeted. And boy, one thing I know, and we're gonna get into this soon. The Africans were mad at him. They were gaslighting and saying, what do you mean? We all look alike. There's not a difference. What do you mean Africans? Africa is a whole continent with different parts. Like, what are you talking about? So a lot of them were just like, yeah, playing. I would say they were playing them. They were playing them for the most part. Okay. So this tweet, of course, set off the question, do Black Americans and Africans look alike? So the Africans were obviously, biasly saying yes. Black Americans were saying not really. We can tell the difference and we can tell when you guys are African.
Let's go over this tweet. Why do it seem like you gotta look extremely African in order to be a successful Black model? I don't like that. So people are mad at Jay Versace for saying this, and I'm going to really explain what I think he's trying to say. First thing first, Black Americans do have the tendency to group all African people. What he really saying is they all look East African, Sudanese specifically. There isn't much West African feature-wise representation in the modeling industry, as well as Black American, but I feel like Black Americans and West Africans have a more similar look. This is what the Black representation for high fashion modeling looks like. Sudanese women have that smooth skin, the cheekbones, like this kind of pouty face. Like, this is what they look for, and very deep, dark skin. Like, look at the, you know what I mean? I don't blame them. The face is tea. The look is tea. This is the type of face we're not seeing. Like, you're not seeing a Tony Child's face. Now, this face is just as tea, but we're not seeing this on the high fashion runways. I'm just showing y'all women who will look beautiful, who are Black American, but it's more of a West African look, in my opinion. We look more West African than we do East African on a normal basis. Like, we're missing these type of faces. This is what the high fashion industry looks for. You see these very deep, dark tones, very clearly kind of exotic, almost used as props. Like, I've seen a lot of African South Sudanese women, they use them kind of proppy because of their skin, because of their elongated beautiful bodies, and actually I'm surprised they're wearing wigs, because also another thing is they love for them to have shaved heads for whatever reason. Just to bring it back around, once again, a more West African look, right? This is Tim. She's obviously like Nigerian. We just don't see this on the runway. All in all, as Black Americans, we also want to see representation for people that we look like and see every day, right? I mean, obviously they're models, so they're not going to look like everybody, everyday people. And as Black Americans, we are just losing representation in a lot of areas. I think black models are either biracial, right? Or they look super dark and slender and they have that same East African look. And that's just what it is.
Very clear. So yeah, it's very clear and obvious that those really dark Sudanese models, for the most part, like Anokiai, they don't look like Black Americans. Okay, that's what Jay Versace was saying. But yet this African woman, and as well as the other Africans, they're playing dumb and they're gaslighting. And so I'll play this video in a sec of this African woman on the screen. She says, Americans look extremely African too, like the Sudanese models. And no, they don't. No, they don't. That as a Black American myself, I noticed that Africans do not like when Black Americans kind of discover their own identity because we don't have the same culture. Africans are the main ones that were notorious for telling Black Americans, you don't have this, no, you don't have culture, you don't have this. It's like they don't want Black Americans to establish, hey, no, there's like slight differences, and we know our own people. That's what I noticed about Africans. Bit of an insecurity there with Black Americans just simply identifying themselves. So I'll go ahead and just play the clip that created this backlash as well.
Jay Versace made a tweet saying that he thinks that people who are extremely African looking are the ones who get picked for a lot of modeling jobs. Now, I kind of agree to an extent, but can we just talk about how African Americans and Africans don't even look that different? A lot of African Americans look extremely African. Alondria from Love Island, for example, everyone was saying how they thought that she was Nigerian. Viola Davis, Wesley Snipes, and even Jay Versace himself, to me, looks very African. My point is that we are not a monolith and we look more alike than we look different.
So yeah, that was the video. And I must admit, now, us Black Americans, some of the clapbacks, I was like, girl, ciao. But that's how we are. We are very brutally honest. We will roast a leaf. You know what I mean? Like, we like to roast. We have dark humor. We're a little bit inappropriate. You know what I mean? That's just us. So don't take offense if you're African to the responses. I know some of the responses were getting just a little bit on the trolling side. You know what I mean? But yeah, and see, that right there is already showing you that there is a clear cultural difference between Africans and Black Americans. Okay? So yeah, the Black Americans were clapping back and taking their power back and saying, no, there is a slight difference. Well, most people were saying there's a huge difference. I think that there is a slight difference between Black Americans and Africans. So I am going to show you the clapbacks that the Black Americans had to say to this African lady's video, where she was saying that there is just no differences at all between Black Americans and Africans.
But can we just talk about how African Americans and Africans don't even look that different?
I am convinced that a lot of West Africans do not have a good idea of what they actually look like. Because as a Black American, I can tell from a mile away whether you're Black American or whether you're African. And it has nothing to do with your facial features. It has nothing to do with your skin tone. It has nothing to do with your hair texture. I can tell by looking in your eyes whether you are African or Black American. Black Americans are 400 years removed from Africa. Majority of Africans have 90 to 100% African DNA. Majority of Black Americans have about 20% European DNA. So you're not going to sit up here and tell me that I look like someone who has 90 to 100% African in them when I'm 1/3 white. And I think the big issue here is I feel like a lot of African people feel as if a Black American person is saying, oh, we don't look like you, then we're calling you ugly. No, that's not the case. We just don't look like you. Any Black American would be able to look at you and say, oh yeah, you're African, or hey, you're Jamaican, or hey, you're a Black American. Because we as a community have built such a tight-knit community that we know who our people are. We know our kinfolk. And us saying that we do not look like you and that we can tell the difference it's not throwing shade at you at all. It's not saying, oh, you're less attractive or that we're better than you. It's not saying that at all. I've had so many Africans say, oh, you look like you're from South Africa. You look Egyptian. You look like you're from East Africa. You look like everything except for the fact that my ancestry is West African. Honey, no. The features that you see that don't look 100% West African, it's just European DNA, and it's from slavery. And I wish a lot of African people would just stop trying to gaslight Black Americans and just respect the fact that we are a separate group of people with our own cultures, with our own identities, with our own separate looks. Okay, here is a visual of what it is that I'm talking about whenever I say that Black Americans do not look African. As you can see, we have African American, West African, and East African. And as you can see, neither of them look the same. Now, I am going to preface, okay, because I know there's going to be in the comment section, not every African American looks like them, not every West African looks like them, and not every East African looks like them, okay? I didn't create this photo. But let's begin. So East Africans, as you can see, they have really high cheekbones. They have a slimmer nose, smaller lips. It also looks as if like their skin, like undertone, is more on the red side. And then you have West Africans. Their cheeks are big, a little bit bigger. Their nose is a little bit, bigger than the East Africans. And then they have bigger lips as well. And then the forehead. And then African American, that's me. The nose is smaller. The lips are smaller. And then as you can see, like the skin complexion. Oh, and then also like African Americans' eyes seem to be closer together too. So if you can't see the clear visual difference, I don't know what to tell you.
Jay Versace made a tweet saying that he thinks that people who are extremely African looking are the ones who get picked for a lot of modeling jobs. Now, I kind of agree to an extent, but can we just talk about how African Americans and Africans don't even look that different? A lot of African Americans look extremely
Africans been cosplaying Black Americans for so long, they forgot how they look. Because when was the last time you seen a Black American look like this, right? There's no Black Americans that look like this. I don't even need to know his name. I don't even need to hear him speak. I know he's African. And let's not talk about the tribal Africans, the ones that's in their natural form, that's not modernized, right? When the last time you seen a Black American look like this? And I'm going to keep going. Here's another picture. Here's another one. And another one. I mean, bro, when y'all are not playing dress up, Black American dress up, it's easy to spot y'all. Now, I give this girl credit. She's a gorgeous African woman, but I could still tell that she's African. Y'all do not look like Black Americans. And for y'all to say that, if it was a white person that say all Black people look the same, that's kind of like racist. Just like me saying if all Asians look the same. They will be offended by that because they don't.
I'm about to put this shit to bed because y'all are dragging it and it's pissing me off. If you say you can't tell the difference between East African and a Black American, or West African and a Black American, you're blind, stupid, or a liar. Or a combination of all fucking three. Are you serious? Are you... You really can't tell the difference between a nigga like me and an African. You can't tell between a nigga like me and an African. I need y'all to understand that y'all are like beyond biased and blind and like brainwashed because like it's like you'll abandon history. You'll abandon history. Aren't Black Americans supposed to be mixed up with white or mixed up with Native American and mixed up with all this shit? Aren't we supposed to be the mutts? So how the fuck can you not tell the difference between a mutt and a like monoracial person who don't have no white or any other thing in their ancestry? You can't tell a 100% African from a 70% African. You can't tell a East African, like a Ethiopian, or somebody from fucking North Sudan or some shit, from somebody that look like me. You can't tell a fucking Igbo man from me, or a fucking... Are y'all dumb? Do y'all do y'all not understand? Like, y'all can't see the phenotypical difference between Black Americans and Africans? It's like saying, bro, like you can tell which Black people come from the Western Hemisphere in the East. Like, I'd even go as far as to say not only can I tell a Black American from an African, I could tell a fucking Caribbean from an African too. And it's a little bit harder because they're way darker down there. I could tell a Jamaican from an African. I could tell a Haitian from an African. Or a Belizean from an African. Or fucking Panamanian from an African. Y'all are basically saying all Black people look the same. And as you know, all the people that came on to the New World in the slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, were all mixed up. So how can you not tell a mixed up person from a person who's pure African? Y'all think having a big nose means you're African, or being dark skinned, or being coarse hair means African, bro. I think you can't tell the difference between Black Americans and Africans is because they dress like us over here in America. Take the African women, take their wigs away, take away their bust down middle parts, take away their lash extensions, take away the makeup, take away all that, and you can't tell a West African woman from a Black American woman. West African. Take away the lineups. Take away the fade. Take away. You can't tell an African man from a black American man. Y'all are liars, bro. Y'all are liars. Blind, dumb, biased by history or whatever the fuck. Because you're so used to like westernized Africans and shit like that. I want you to take like if since you can't tell the difference between African in America and a black American, I want you to book you a flight, pick a random country in West Africa, take your ass a plane there, hop off and look at everybody around. Go to the nearest town and look at everybody around that bitch. And I bet you'll be able to tell the difference between us and them real quick. And I'm not even being mean or negative or throwing shade, but it gets to a point to say you can't. That's like saying, Vietnamese people and Korean people look the same, or Philippine people and Vietnamese look the same, or Korean and Chinese look the same. They fucking don't. And if you can't tell the difference between a Japanese person and a Korean person or a Chinese person and what's called a person from Laos or a Lao person, that's your own stupidness for not being able to recognize the differences in phenotype and all that shit. But I'm so sick of I can't tell Africans from black Americans. Have you seen an African and have you seen a black American? Have you looked at both groups of people real hard? Just because you are dark skinned does not mean you look like an African. Just because you have a large nose or doesn't mean you look African. I am so certain in myself that 8 times out of 10, if not 9 times out of 10, I can tell the difference between a black American and a fucking African because we both look fucking different. Like.
So yeah, I am black American. All of my family is from America. I love everything about being black American, down to that the slang, the lingo. If you watch my videos, there's no shame in my game. Okay, I love a good AAVE slang here and there when I'm like having fun and talking to friends, you know what I mean? I like the way we dress. I love our food, okay? I love me some mac and cheese, yams, all of that. And so yeah, everybody who has been on my channel knows that I am black and I am proud. So I am going to give my 2 cents on this conversation. I actually have to agree with the black Americans on TikTok. We know Africa is not a country. We know that. Stop. I hate when people comment that. It's like, don't be smart. Okay. At this point, I am just going to say all Africans in this conversation. I quite frankly do not care where you're from in Africa, because all I know as a black American, when you guys come out here, we can see the distinctive difference. We can tell the difference. I don't care if you're South African, North African, East African, or West African. If y'all of your roots are in Africa and all of your family is from Africa and you're from there, when you come out here to America, we can spot you from a mile away. Okay? Period. That's just our point of view as black Americans. Every black American that I talk to all says the same thing. So that's not for Africans to come in and be like, nope, we all look the same. Well, not to us. Because black Americans, first of all, we've been looking at each other our whole lives. We can kind of spot each other. And then when you are, from Africa or whatever, yes, that's like all the way in another part of the world. Your blood is pure. We can see the clear, distinctive difference. Even science and AI says that there is a difference. Look at what science came up with on the screen. They're showing you the clear difference in certain Africans compared to black Americans. So just simply not acknowledging that, it's gaslighting. And like what the people said, yeah, that's like saying all Asians look alike. No, they don't. Filipinos look way different than Chinese people. Okay? And so on and so forth. Like, if you're African, you're not going to get what we're saying. A lot of people are in denial of what they look like, and we'll get into that soon. But as a black American, we can always tell when someone is African. And not acknowledging this is just gaslighting. And I'm actually going to bring up the stats. So let me give you a little history lesson in case you're delusional. So this is my annoyance that I'm having. It is common sense that what we look like today is a combination of everything that our ancestors went through history. So what we look like represents history. And I just don't like how people do not like when black Americans simply just acknowledge the difference in history and their own identity. People who are from Africa Typically, if you look at their genetics, a lot of them have way more African ancestry than the average Black American person. Because of history with Black Americans, we have been tossed and thrown around and misused by, white people due to slavery. So almost all African Americans have white DNA in them. That's one of the reasons why we look slightly different, to the point where we can pick up when someone is African. If you have a little bit, even a little bit of white DNA in you, that's going to slightly water down your features. I'll actually pull up the stats on the screen. It reads, it's no secret, or shouldn't be, that a majority of African Americans have European ancestry, on average between 20 and 25%. And then it says due to slavery. So yeah, that's common sense. So with that being said, African Americans have more watered down features than someone who is from Africa and has all of their roots in Africa. Africans tend to have more richer, broader features. So I'll actually explain what that means. This is how I can tell that someone's African. And it's actually a compliment, because I feel like African genes dominate. They have the best genetics. And yeah, I said what I said. They have the best genetics. But I can tell that someone's African because their skin is usually way more richer than the typical African American. Like, no matter where you're from in Africa, your skin quality just looks different than ours, okay? And I can immediately pick that up. But since Jay Versace was talking about, he was referring to when he said, why do models have to look extremely African? We all know what he's talking about. Stop playing dumb. He's talking about the Sudanese models and stuff like that, okay? So I'm going to use them as the example to compare and contrast what I mean. Because people be swearing, oh no, what's the difference between a Sudanese model and a Black American? Okay, well, I'll show you. Like, I consider myself a chocolate girl, but even, my type of chocolate skin as a Black American, it just shows up differently than someone who has, 100% DNA coming from parts in Africa. Like, I feel like our skin looks like just slightly different. It's less deep, it's less rich. My skin does not give rich at all. I've been honest about my skin. The quality of my skin is high, in my opinion. It's high, but I still, nevertheless, like, I'm confident and I love being, chocolate and stuff like that. But, I'm just being honest about what it looks like. So, yeah. I have very dull, kind of almost like an olive, like a golden type of skin complexion. But I notice with a lot of Africans, their skin tone alone is richer and smoother. Like, I'm not even talking about light skin versus dark skin. I am just talking about the quality of the skin. The quality of you guys' skin looks different. But that's just one factor. I'm going to break down you guys' features and why Black Americans can easily pick up that you are African. Okay? So, another obvious way that we can tell that you guys are African in a second, you guys have more broader features. Like, people like to act like the little bit of white ancestry and Black Americans, just let's ignore it. But no, it does play a slight role in how we look. So getting back to Africans having more richer features, this is actually a compliment. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's actually a compliment when we can tell the difference because, like I said, Africans, in my opinion, have the best genetics. I can tell that a girl is African when her body, and I know this is stereotypical. Oh, this short video is stereotypical. It's impossible to make a short YouTube video about race and not stereotype. So I just do not want to deal with the smart Alex in the comment section. Okay, I really don't. Honey, everybody stereotypes, okay? That's literally how you identify a person by their group. So me as a Black American, let me tell you how me and most of us identify, the Africans that come out here. Okay? But anyways, another way that I can tell that someone is African, at least when they're in America, most of the time, the body be tea. The body be tea. especially when she keeps herself in shape. Like, bro, we are not shaped like you guys out here, okay? A little bit, but it's like the watered down Black American version. We look like a slightly watered down version than you guys. I'm so sorry, but yes, the little sprinkle of European, no, I can see it showing up in Black Americans' phenotype. We look African, of course, we're like predominantly African, duh, but we look like a more watered down version, just slightly. I think it's literally just slightly. It's not even like, obviously, we look like we are, have African descent. I'm not being delusional, but you get what I'm saying. But if her body is a little bit tooty, like it's tooty, I'm talking waist is gone, butt typically, and it's typically paired with a big butt. I know that's stereotypical, but that's just one example of how I can tell, oh yeah, she's probably African. Because while Black American girls are shaped like that too, once again, Africans have more richer features than us. So if we're shaped like that, then you are shaped like that to the max. You get what I'm saying? And even down to you guys' face, you guys have more broader features, because if you have more African ancestry, that's probably going to give you more broader facial features. So for me, as a Black American, I don't have, and I'm just stereotyping, I don't have extremely large lips. I don't have an extremely big nose. I don't have this really like, disclaimer for the nitpickers out there. I've posted my lips before, and yeah, they look big with makeup. Okay, so yes, I be trying to get the more African looking features with makeup, but without makeup, honey, I have small lips without makeup. Okay? Not small like a white person small, like I don't have thin lips, but I also don't have like the stereotypical more fuller, plump as F, African lips. At least without makeup. I can get my lips to look plump and full, but it's with makeup. I feel like that's the thing with Black Americans. We're somewhere in the middle of that. I am able to achieve this full lip look with, by finessing lip liner, lipstick, and lip gloss. But without it, I feel like my lips look just very like standard African American lips. That's all. This African American template is actually so good because, no, without lip gloss and, lip liner and stuff like that and lipstick, my lips look exactly like the template right here. That's exactly what it looks like without makeup. Yep. I feel like I look like this template. So, yeah. I feel like my facial features are just slightly more, just a little bit more watered down than the average African. And I feel like I look like a textbook Black American person. Okay. I even asked a couple of my friends, I said, if you see me walking down the street, would you think that I'm Black American or African? And they all said Black American. I look like the standard Black American person. I do. So, for the longest, people get annoyed when Black Americans do acknowledge, as all Black Americans can easily spot an African from a mile away. And it's not up to Africans to come in and deny that. If you are not Black American, you can't, like, that's just gaslighting. Okay? We can tell you're African because y'all be beautiful. Your body is tea, sis. Your skin is tea, sis. You have beautiful, rich features on your face. At least that's when my African meter goes off. When the girl is a little bit too tea, I'm like, yeah, she's African. Like I said, we have less dramatic features than a textbook African. And that's just the truth. Okay? And I'm going to get into why this conversation is going to trigger a lot of people. You know why? This conversation would not be fair if I was only nitpicking how Africans sometimes can be delusional about what they look like. No, that is literally everybody in the Black diaspora. But I'm going to summarize it like this. Africans think that they look Black American. Black Americans think that they look biracial. A lot of Caribbeans be in denial of that blackness as well. So we're going to collect everybody in this conversation. Me no black, me Dominican. So we are going to be talking about the delusion that runs rampant in the black diaspora across, okay, in the second half of the video. So the first half I addressed, the whole talking points, yes, black Americans, we can tell that you are African from a mile away instantly. Well, it's the same thing. There's delusion across, so I'm going to keep this conversation balanced and fair. And we're going to call out the delusion in all of us in the black diaspora. I have been noticing since I was a little girl, the average black woman, and I don't care where she's from, okay, at this point, because we're not going to just pick on Africans. No, it's all of us, okay? The average black woman has no reality of what she actually looks like. If you talk to the average black woman and ask her, what do you look like? She's going to describe to you back a biracial or mixed person, because a lot of black people they want to run away from looking black. And I'm going to give some examples. I have real life examples of this. So I'm going to give a few examples. I can't recall the amount of times, even in school, I'm looking at a girl that she's chocolate. She's obviously chocolate, dark skin sometimes. And she is completely reducing down what she actually looks like. There's a lot of brown skinned women, chocolate women that are walking around saying that they're light skinned. I just seen that the other day on TikTok. And she was like, if Trina's light skinned, then what am I? Because she was trying to prove that Trina's not light skinned, which Trina is light skinned, right?
Trina, I just have a quick question. Something that I just always kind of wanted to ask you, because why you think you light skinned? Like, I've been listening to your songs and yellow bone, red bone. Where? Where, Trina? Where?
I guess Trina talks about being light skinned in her songs a lot. And so the girl that made the video saying that Trina is not light skinned, she used herself as the example. She was saying, well, if Trina's a red bone and if she's light skinned, then so am I too. What do you mean, so am I too? You are not Trina Shade. Do you think that you are Trina Shade, ma'am? Everybody in the comment section was saying that Trina is obviously a light skinned woman. And somebody said Trina is considered red, though. Another person had to tell this dark skinned chocolate woman, Trina is lighter than you. So, no, you are not red, too. So she thinks that she is Trina's shade. Do you see how dark skinned chocolate women think that they're light skinned? You are not Trina's shade. See, a lot of black women I noticed in general, though, the celebrity that they think they look like, you don't look anything like that celebrity. Here is another picture of Trina, by the way. She's obviously, without question, a light skinned woman. But the only reason why she's confused is because this girl is having an identity crisis, because she's trying to figure out. I guess she thought she gave Trina her skin complexion, but she's trying to figure out why other people are calling her brown skin, because that's what she is. She's chocolate, but not Trina. Yeah, because you don't look like Trina. Talking about if Trina's a light skinned red bone, then so am I. What do you mean, so am I? Your skin complexion is not Trina's skin complexion. Okay, I'm really wondering how many brown skinned, chocolate, dark skinned women are walking around thinking that they are Trina's shade. A lot. That's why we're talking about the black diaspora just in general not knowing what they look like. So that's what I mean. I see examples of stuff like that all the time, of black women severely suffering from feature blindness. Okay? So now I'm just talking about in general, because this conversation is reminding me of feature blindness in general. Okay? It's not just Africans that, don't want to look African. It's all of us. Okay? All of us. So, yeah, throughout the remaining video, I'm going to give you examples all throughout my life that I've recalled of having interactions with delusional black people across the diaspora. Girl, I have so many examples. Another example is I had this dark skinned friend growing up, and I thought her mom was obviously a chocolate woman, a dark skinned chocolate woman, right? And then I heard my friend refer to her mom as light skinned. Like, I genuinely was confused. I'm like, are you okay? Your mom's not light skinned. And she was like, no, my mama is light skinned. She is my mama light skinned. I'm like, which mom? That mom that I've been knowing for years and years and years? She's not light skinned. Are you okay? And so I'm like, are you referring to a time that I'm unaware of? And she was like, no, she's literally light skinned right now. And I'm like, no, she's not. Her mom was literally dark skinned. And her and I just went back and forth and back and forth. And I'm like, bro, your mom is not light skinned. Are you okay? She was like, no, she's light skinned. So this girl was delusional because I then realized that her mom was very in denial of what her looks gave. So to me, she looked very African, but they were saying that she literally resembled Rihanna. And I'm like, Rihanna, where? Nowhere on her face, not even the skin complexion, not even the features on her face ever gave Rihanna. But my friend said, no, my mom looks like Rihanna. No, your mom does not. It's a lot of black women walking around thinking that they are giving Rihanna, Cassie, Aaliyah, and Beyonce. No, you're giving Keke Palmer, Coco Jones, and the girl that sings Motivation. That's what most of you guys give. So yeah, this girl and I, we were going back and forth on, debating if her mom was light skinned or not, which that was not a debate. Her mom was clearly a chocolate woman that looked more similar to Keke Palmer, but then it all kind of just clicked for me. I eventually realized, I'm like, oh, there we go. Skin tone blindness and feature blindness. Another example, I have examples for days and days and days. Black women have feature blindness in all categories. Like I said, go up to the average chocolate woman and ask her, what do you look like? She's going to repeat to you back somebody who you will visualize that looks closer to white. While I'm giving real life interactions that I've had with black women, you can actually spot this behavior all over YouTube. Just look at the way anonymous accounts, before they reveal themselves, look at how they describe their features. You're literally imagining in your head someone whose phenotype looks like, Christina Milian. That's how black women tend to describe what they look like. Come to find out, they don't look like a light skinned biracial or mixed person. Most of them, they look like standard black Americans, like the standard black American template. So, like I said, asking black women, hey, what do you look like? Describe your features back to me. Watch her describe something completely different other than what she actually looks like. So people online, once again, were saying that African women don't know what they look like. They don't know that they look African. Okay, well, same as Black American women. Black American women do not know that they look Black American. The average Black American woman thinks that she looks like a light-skinned biracial. But anyways, I digress. Let me give some more examples that I have seen online and in real life of, Black women just delusional about their phenotype. Okay, so even with the hair conversation, I've already called this out. I noticed that a lot of black women, I see what y'all be trying to do. You don't like the fact that you have 4C hair, so what you do is you enjoy having damaged hair and trained hair, because trained hair is the closest hair that'll look closer to the more looser hair texture, like the type 2 hair that the Spanish or white women, sometimes even the biracial women, tend to have. And so y'all be sitting over there looking dumb, trying to finesse obviously damaged 4C hair, talking about my hair is straight and wavy. No, your hair is 4C and damaged, and everyone can see that, and you're not fooling anybody.
Really be like, see, black people do have straight hair. And then they pull out a picture of their old grandma where her hair is fried, chopped, dyed, and done. And that's supposed to be the example. Like, come on now, be so for real.
So I see a lot of black women, they're delusional in that department. If you ask them, oh, what's your hair type? Your hair type is not 2A. Your hair type is damaged and trained. That's your hair type. Okay? And it's like, it's very obvious. It's very obvious. Like the roots be kinky. You know what I mean? Just delusional. They're just in denial of what they look like. A lot of black women with type 4 kinky hair don't mind walking around with damaged hair. They don't mind looking crazy as long as they look closer to looking less black. I've met so many black women. Hey, what's your hair type? And because it's damaged, you're talking about it's type 2. Girl, I guess. Girl. Another example, this was actually recently. Apparently, I like my skin complexion and I've always said that I'm chocolate. There was this one girl where I was like, oh, we're the same shade. You have the same shade as me. Apparently, I offended her because, like I said, black women are delusional. This girl apparently thought that she gave light skin because I had seen her talking crap and she was like, oh, she compared her skin complexion to me and we're just not the same skin shade. And I'm like, yes, we are. You are a chocolate woman. We are the same shade. But then it clicked to me. I'm like, oh, another black woman that's in denial of what her features are giving. A lot of chocolate women, black women, they swear that they are a light skin biracial. And I guess I bursted her bubble of delusion. Girl, she was mad. She was super mad that I said that we had the same shade. Because she really thought that she gave light skin. No, you don't. You give chocolate. She didn't want to be chocolate because she would be hyper focused on like skin bleaching stuff and all that stuff. So yeah, she was in denial. Okay. So yeah, I am just sharing random story times of, the black people that I've met that were in denial of their blackness. So here's the final finale. Anyways, the type of person that I noticed in the black diaspora that really takes the cake and wins the award and takes the trophy home for, the award for the most delusional, in denial, and insecure black person, it is Africans that live in predominantly white communities. Oh my goodness. I have met some when I was in that type of environment where there was like only like a small handful of black people, literally probably like 4 in the entire school, and all 4 of those black people had a huge identity crisis. Nobody has an identity crisis more than an African looking dark-skinned black woman that lives amongst all white people. I think that suburban black women have the most identity crisis. They are the ones that is super in denial about what the heck that they look like. Okay. And they walk around looking a hot mess for the most part. Yeah, these women, you can see in their appearance that they're running away from things that might complement or enhance their blackness like the plague. And that's what, trying to tussle against your phenotype is always going to have you looking a hot mess. That's why whitewashed black women, they tend to get made fun of for their looks. Yeah, they look like that for a reason. They look like that because they're trying to imitate the white women. you know, Literally look at the saying hard wig, soft life. That came from whitewashed suburban black women and how they would style their wigs. Yeah, their wigs be looking a hot mess, but no, make no mistake. They intentionally do their wigs like that because they're trying to copy how the white girls kind of have their hair. White girls, a lot of them tend to wear their hair very like they like freeing hairstyles like the beach waves and like the messy buns and the messy like the bedroom type of hair, but that's their thing. And like you're black, like that's not how your hair goes. So yeah, those girls, that's why they look a hot mess. That's what I noticed. And I'll actually give a personal example. It was so bad. That school that I went to, where it was like barely any black people, the little black people that was there, like I said, they did not want to be black at all. Like they were dark as F, hair kinky as F. And there was this one guy, I'm gonna throw the men under the bus, okay? There was this one guy that he did not want to be black so bad. He would keep a picture in his pocket of some random non-black family member to randomly pull it out and tell people, see, look, I'm mixed. So, in case you're wondering, here on the screen is an idea of what that guy looked like. The one that would be carrying a picture in his pocket of some random person, and nobody would ask if he was mixed because nobody thought he was mixed. You look black. And he would randomly just show people all throughout the day, hi, I'm mixed. Hello, I'm mixed. Hi, I'm mixed. Yeah, that was in the white community that I lived in. That's why I said African dark looking people in white communities are the most delulu up there. Delulu, delulu. This is why, to me, I consider a mixed person, okay? We're talking about black Americans now. This conversation gets very tricky, and I know it makes a lot of delusional people upset. Mixed to me will always be the textbook definition of mix, okay? Biracial to me means one parent is not black, the other parent is black. And the reason why I say this is because some black people that don't want to be black and they're really trying to give biracial, what they do is, even though most black Americans have European ancestry in them, you have the black Americans that don't want to be black. They will take that little 20% in the DNA of otherness, of Europeanness in the DNA, and then let them tell it they're mixed. And see, I'm sorry, but that's delusional. That's delusional. If you have 20% of other admixture in your DNA, you probably just look like a standard black American like the rest of us. Listen, I see a lot of girls trying to finesse that DNA chart, and I'm like, no, 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 Bookie. You are not giving a light skin biracial. So please sit down, okay? This is something that needs, I don't know. I'm really trying to intertwine this into the conversation because this needs to be discussed. A lot of you guys be trying your hardest to hold on to the little bit of European that got sprinkled in our DNA when we were slaves. And you're really swearing that it's giving mix. You swear that it gives Maya and it doesn't. You're giving Keke Palmer, and that's okay. It's okay to give Keke Palmer. That this conversation is going to piss a lot of people off. When you put the mirror to a delusional person, that's why this conversation is so controversial. The average black person, period, I don't care where you're from, Caribbean, Black American, African, the average black person does not realize what they look like. So Africans, for example, they don't think that they look African. Black Americans do the same exact thing. Black Americans swear it's giving biracial. And when I say biracials, I'm referring to the light-skinned biracials, to be exact, okay? All throughout this video. Bottom line to this conversation is, no matter where you are in the diaspora, like, I'm not gonna nitpick Africans and act like black Americans don't be on this same type of time as well. Because, you know, they were saying that Africans, they don't know what they look like, they don't want to look African. Okay, and same as black Americans. Most black American women that are chocolate swear they're giving light skin, they swear they're giving biracial, they swear they're giving mixed. They're taking that little 15%, the little 20% in the chart, and running with it. Okay? And it's like, who's going to be the one to tell this delusional girl that most black Americans have that little sprinkle of white DNA in the DNA chart? So that's why, me personally, if you're asking me, I don't consider you mixed unless you are 50-50. Period. We all got a little bit of sprinkles here and there. And if you, like, some women are so delusional, they will literally go all the way back to 1600 BC, and I'm not kidding you guys. I seen a woman do this on YouTube. She pulled out drawings. She went back to a time where there were no cameras. In her DNA chart, pulled out drawings of what it looked like to be the founding fathers. Talking about, see guys, I'm mixed. Look at this photo of my grandpa from 1500 BC. And it's like, who's going to be the one to tell this delusional girl that most Black Americans can do that? Because of what? Slavery. We've been abused in society. We just now became free. Yes, we've been R-worded in history. We've been abused. We've been tossed here, thrown there, manipulated there. Yes, our DNA is manipulated. You're not the only one. You're not the special snowflake in the community. So, not accepting what you look like, it happens across the diaspora. Now, I can't really speak on Caribbeans because I'm going to be honest with you. I am from California, and in California, there are no Caribbeans. So I really don't know much about Caribbean culture or nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I've heard it. I've been in New York, and New York has Dominicans that are darker than me. I mean, I'm talking, girl, I thought you were African. And let them tell it, me no black, me Dominican, me no black. So this whole in denial of what you actually give and not accepting your own ethnic group, that happens with all Black people, all. The Dominicans, they be dark as heck with the kinkiest hair, talking about they're not Black. Delusional. You're delusional. You guys are Black. You guys are absolutely Black. You guys are more Blacker than me. Some of you guys are more Blacker than Black Americans. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we saying here? Bitch, I'm Dominican. Bitch, I'm big Dominican. Now, I'll say this, right? Because there's different types of Dominicans. I feel like whatever your ethnic dominates in, that's what you are. So whatever more percentage you have in you, that's what you are. So some Dominicans, no, I wouldn't really go ahead and just classify them as Black. However, if you have a lot of Black in you, because there are Dominicans with a great amount of Black in them, like the ones on the screen. This is obvious because it shows in their phenotype. You have very kinky hair. Your skin is extremely rich and dark. Now, by then, if you're saying, oh, me no Black, me Dominican, me delusional, me psych ward, that's where you need to go, to a psych ward, period. Because you're tripping, you're crazy, and you're in denial. Period, point blank, I do not care. Like certain ones where they have more European ancestry and they're more like, maybe, I don't know, just stereotyping, like lighter skin, looser hair, okay, fine. But the ones on the screen, no ma'am, you are Black and Dominican. You're both. I'm going to break down the delusion of a Dominican that may have, 80% African ancestry, talking about they're not Black. That's literally like a Black American with 80% African ancestry going, I'm not Black, I'm American. That's how crazy y'all sound when you say that. Okay? I'm just going to be the one to say it because New York, they don't be saying it, but the whole world looks at y'all like you guys are crazy, insane when you are this dark, hair kinky as F, talking about you're not Black. And once again, there are some Dominicans where they have overall more European ancestry. Fine, fine. Okay? You're not Black. But the Dominicans on the screen, now girl. And this is why that behavior with them, that only flies in New York. I have never really met a Dominican out in Cali. And if you brought that delusion to Cali people will roast you up and down and really bring you back to reality. Okay? Real Cali people. Those games get played in New York. If you looked like this on the screen and came to Cali talking about you are not Black, people would literally send you to a psych ward. I'm not playing. Okay? See, New Yorkers, they say New Yorkers are mean, but they're really not. They let y'all just do and say whatever. Like if you watch that episode of Baddies with Gretchen, that's a perfect example. She's from New York and you see how she couldn't stop saying the N-word, but she was not Black. You seen the way, see that mouth? It was sliding in New York, but as soon as you stepped outside of New York, she was getting hands put on her every single day for her behavior outside of New York. So sometimes I really do worry for people that were born and raised in New York. How are you going to survive outside of New York? New York enables people to do and be and say whatever. You could be dark as F talking about I'm not black in New York. You know? Yeah, anything flies in New York. You bring that to Cali and we're going to send you back to a psych ward. Like, what are you talking about? You're black. Next. So, this epidemic of delusion amongst black people, period, this is nothing new. This has been happening ever since I was alive. Okay? Ever since I was alive, I'm telling you, if you go up to, they need to do statistics on this. Go up to 5 random, I don't care, African, black, whatever, and ask them, repeat back your features to me. Watch them repeat back somebody, and you're gonna be like, who is this woman you're repeating back? They swear in their head it gives Aaliyah. They swear it gave Maya. And it's like, no, you give Coco Jones, and that's okay. Okay? You give Coco Jones. You give Keke Palmer, and that's okay. And, going back to their original discussion, I think that the more African somebody looks, the more insecure that they typically are. So that's why when you look at the colorism conversations on YouTube, the ones that are dominating those conversations are Nigerians and Haitians, to be exact. They are the most African looking out of them all. Those are the ones that are the most race obsessed. Yes, on YouTube, they are absolutely the most race obsessed people on YouTube. Okay, race obsessed people that tends to come from a place of insecurity. When your whole entire channel, every topic is about race, you are insecure about that. We were just talking about this on my live stream when I was clocking bitter women online. Typically when they can't stop talking about something, it's like all day every day. That's because that's what they're insecure about. Insecurity is loud, confidence is silent. They pretty much dominate all of those insecure conversations around being black on YouTube because they have the most black ancestry. Okay. So I noticed that the more blacker, the more African the person is, the more insecure that they typically are. Like I said, some of the most insecure people I've ever met in my life were African. That was when I lived in the non-black environment. There was like a couple of Africans out there. They were so insecure, so insecure. And that's also why when you look at countries that have some of the most African phenotype, like West Africa, like Nigeria, what's extremely popular out there? You can statistically look this up. Skin bleaching is the most popular in Africa because a lot of people do not want to give African. They don't want it to give African. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a controversial video because the average black person is delusional and in denial of what they look like. And that's all across the diaspora. It's a very small amount that just accepts what they look like. Like me, I accept what I look like. Okay? If majority of you guys sent in your photo to ChatGPT would say that you look Afrocentric. We are all, if you're black, you're Afrocentric because all of our roots come from Africa for the most part. But let a girl tell it. She swears that her phenotype gives Cassie. Something that I actually recently noticed on YouTube from being an anonymous account is, so sometimes, you know how I'm black and proud. Like, I'm proud of being Black American, Solani, or whatever. And there's no questions around that. Well, I noticed on YouTube, because there's so many black women in denial of what their looks give, when I say that I look black, they are literally picturing Lupito Nyong'o. I don't know how to say her name. And it's like, no, I look black like Keke Palmer. But see, that's bursting too many people's delusion because, so I noticed that too with me being anonymous. When I say that I look black, people just assume that I look extremely African because it's very rare that women just acknowledge, like, hey, I look Afrocentric. Even though, like, I'm not the darkest of the dark. But because there's black women, most black women that look like me, they think that they look mixed. So when they hear a black woman say, oh no, I look black, they're picturing Lupita. You know what I mean? That's what I noticed since I'm anonymous. People think that I look like that. And it's like, I look more, my phenotype would be more like Keke Palmer, like the typical black American phenotype. You know what I mean? But most women who are in denial of their blackness, they tend to have Keke Palmer's phenotype. That's why when I come around and I say I'm blackity black, they're assuming that I look like a Nokia or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, I actually look like the rest of you guys that also look like Keke Palmer, but instead you're really trying to force this, oh, you look light skin mixed thing just because you don't look like somebody who is like just stereotypical African as F, like a Nokia or Lupita or something like that. But like I said, most black people, their logic is if you don't look extremely African, then you're mixed. You know what I mean? It's dysfunctional. But all right, that's all that I have to say. Everybody's delusional. Africans are delusional. Black Americans are delusional. And Caribbeans are delusional. Who wants to tussle? Bye.